Happy New Year, everybody. This is the Retro No Cap Recap of The Curse of Oak Island, Season 7, Episode 23, Season Finale called Timeline. Originally aired April 28th, 2020. If you missed any of my recaps of previous and future episodes, there's a link to my Oak Island playlist in the upper right. Let's get into it. Previously, on the Curse of Oak Island, people have been looking for an incredible treasure for 229 years. The season finale opens in the Money Pit area. In the previous episode, the RF-1 caisson encountered an obstruction at approximately 170 feet underground. The pressure, when trying to cut through it, shot up to 2,500 pounds per square inch, and one of the brackets connecting the oscillator to the crane snapped. After a 3-hour repair job, progress resumed, but it was still not able to be made. Rock Equipment CEO Vanessa Lucido had the idea of setting the 26-ton hammer grab on the obstruction. That worked because the obstruction is now 5 feet lower. At approximately 200 feet underground, the pressure goes down to almost nothing, indicating a void. The thought is that the obstruction was pushed out of the way into the void as imagined here. The void is confirmed by there being only 2 grabs within 7 feet. The next hammer grab includes a lot of modern gravel, which would have to be coming from nearby borehole H8. During the previous season, a dangerous sinkhole developed under the drilling equipment, so the team filled it with gravel to stabilize the area. The seismic testing revealed what Jeremy Church called a solution channel that flows through the Money Pit area and likely has been drilled into by several different boreholes. Fearing another sinkhole incident, Vanessa says it's an all-stop situation, and Rick agrees. Narrator Robert Clotworthy says that although a breakthrough could be just feet away, it's too dangerous to continue sinking the RF-1 caisson. The following day, the team turns their attention back to the swamp, specifically the paved area south of the eye of the swamp after the area was drained. Dr. Ian Spooner arrives with the carbon dating of the sticks he found between 2 rocks of the paved area. He says it's 1200s, going with the more conservative, more recent time, but as you can see, it could be as old as 200 years earlier than that. With that news, Gary, of course, says,
"Medieval, baby."
Rick had said something about moving some rocks, but apparently that was the only work done and appears to be the last work of the season. The next day is the season-ending War Room meeting. Charles Barkhouse has placed the year's most significant finds on a timeline that starts with the Templar exploration in the 1100s. Marty thanks Charles for the work and says that when he first arrived on the island with Rick, he thought there would be nothing found before this line, pointing to the red line that marks the 1795 discovery of the Money Pit. Steve gives an update on the paved area, that it's much bigger than has been exposed so far. It's 80 by 170 feet and would be on the right side of the open channel when Oak Island was 2 different islands. Tom Nolan asked Marty his current opinion of the swamp, and he says, paraphrased by me, that you can't argue with the artifacts found, the carbon dating, and the skeptical geoscientist, Dr. Ian Spooner, and the skeptical archaeologist, Laird Niven, both now certain. It's amazing. Tom says he's glad that all the time his late father Fred spent investigating the swamp was justified. Gary says the tools he has found on different parts of the island that were carbon dated to the 14 and 1500s would suggest there was tunneling done outside of the Money Pit area as well as inside. Jack says the dates point to different generations on Oak Island and correspond to the Templar theory 11 to 1400s and the Francis Bacon Rosicrucians theory 1600s. A log structure found in this season 7 while the team was searching for the end of the slipway dated to 1769, 26 years before the Money Pit discovery, carbon dated to 1741, 28 years before the slipway. Doug says every theorist is happy because there's something on the table that supports every theory. Marty has something to add to the timeline. A toonie. The $2 Canadian coin. He dropped this one into borehole H8 2 years prior when it was being backfilled as an experiment to see if things could be moving around underground. Gary metal detected it in the spoils from RF1 borehole a week prior to this war room meeting. The toonie moved approximately 10 feet, assuming the center of both boreholes. That would seem to lend credence to the theory that the chapel vault moved lower and to the side, as shown as this image from an animation in the show. Marty says later that it's good because it helps to explain why no one can find this elusive treasure, and also that it's bad because it helps explain why no one can find this elusive treasure. It's going to be difficult. Marty wonders if some of the artifacts represent successful recovery attempts. Most of those present still believe the treasure is still there and wasn't recovered. Laird, ever the skeptic, says that the science and the archaeology prove that significant things happened on the island. He can't say that it involves treasure, but still thinks it's worth pursuing due to the scientific and archaeological finds. This was before Dr. Spooner began testing the water in the Money Pit and elsewhere and found high precious metal content starting in season 10. It would not be that high if those metals weren't still there, and naturally occurring has been ruled out. Marty says he's about 40% that there was treasure on the island and about 20% that it's still there. Rick later says he thinks of it in context of what else was happening on the entire planet during the times involved. The Knights Templar and the Crusades, and the American Revolution closer to home and the island. Marty begins discussing the future, including saying that a big dig in the Money Pit area could take 3 years and cost tens of millions of dollars. Rick says that would be something that they wouldn't go into half-heartedly. They've researched ways to do a 100-foot wide by 200-foot deep excavation, including building a concrete shaft to block the water, or using a circle of boreholes to freeze the excavation area. Rick says they believe that they could draw an 80 or 100-foot circle that would include the Money Pit in it. As of season 12, there has been no big dig. As a memorial to Dan Blankenship, Rick made a plaque from Oak Island rock, and it rests on pipes he used for drilling. It is placed next to Borehole 10X, Dan's biggest accomplishment. Dan's drilling rig was also moved next to 10X. At the time, a building had been constructed around 10X, but more recently it has been uncovered again. I'll be continuing retro no-cap recaps of Season 8 while also recapping the new Season 12 episodes late Tuesday nights as they air. All other episodes are in my Oak Island playlist already. There are no new Oak Island shows on New Year's Eve 2024. I'm also doing retro no-cap recaps of Seasons 2 through 4 of The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch as I have time. Seasons 1 and 5 are all done and are in the Skinwalker Ranch playlist. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment. sempre avanti. Happy New Year to all.